Welcome to It's the Car Business, a YouTube and podcast show that inspires car dealers and their management staff to make positive changes in their dealership. You can watch us on YouTube and listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Plus, we're now on iHeartRadio on Android, iOS, and the iHeartRadio.com. This show is brought to you by Mail-Rite International, Inc., where they drive buying traffic to car dealers. And you can find them at mail-rite.com. That's mail-rite.com. First, I want to thank you all for attending. I'm David Allen. I'm your host. And for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm the CEO of Mail-Rite International. I've been in the car business for over 27 years. I'm a best-selling author of the $100 Million Playbook, Direct Mail for Business, and I've helped my clients generate billions in the auto industry. Today's program is 10 deadly dealer sins of your CRM and emails and how to fix them all. Number one, your data is a mess. For many dealerships, their data is old, it's outdated, and it's inaccurate. And that's wasting time, it's wasting money, and it's making you look incompetent. To give you an example, I quite often get asked by friends who would say to me, who know I'm in the car business, and say to me, hey, how come I keep getting these emails and letters from the car dealership for a car I don't even own anymore, and I traded it into that dealership? And to give you an example of that, a dealer that I've bought a lot of cars from, done business with, has this problem with their data. And I don't know, it was less than a year ago, they sent me a letter asking me if I wanted to trade in my 2012 vehicle. The problem with that is that the 2012 was traded in for a brand new 2014, which was traded in for a 2017. So they're basically two vehicles behind. And that is the problem. The last thing you want to look like is you don't know what you're doing. So you need to fix that. Another big problem with your data, which makes it a mess, is when you switch CRMs. I've experienced this with many of my customers who have told me when we go to pull their data to do a mailing or something, that they only can go back, say, 5 years. And as most of you are aware, people don't buy cars anymore for 5 years. Most of them are for 7 years, 84 months is not unusual today. So you would lose, the person has 2 years left on their vehicle and you would lose their data. So how do you combat that? You back up your data and you do it every month. Now, I'm not talking about the company you have that stores your data. I'm talking about getting them, either you do it or have them do it, but you need to get them to download your data to Excel files, and you need to house them yourselves. Because if something happens to them or their data system, you're still covered, you still have your data. And you should do it every month. So you don't wind up in a situation where you wish you had those records, but they got lost when the CRM got changed over to ABC Company CRM. Now, you also need to keep your data clean and correct, which is why a lot of the data is a mess. Now, how do you do that? Well, first of all, I recommend using AI data hygiene, which is basically you send it to a company like ours, which is Mail-Rite, and we will update the names, the addresses, the emails, the phone numbers, the postal address. Now, you will not have 100% perfect data even when you update it, but it'll make a huge difference. Now, what I recommend is after you do that, or if you don't want to do that, at least do this, is to do what I call the 25 to 50 calls a day. And what that is, most of you have salespeople quite often standing around or sitting around doing nothing. There's always time periods of just lull. So what you want to do is you create a script, or if you like, we created one here, and be happy to email it to you. And just to give you a quick overview of what this is, it'd be something to the effect of, you make a phone call, you call up Mr. Jones. This is David Allen from ABC Dealership. We're updating our records so our communication with you can be more relevant and meaningful. And that's important. You mind if I ask you a few quick questions? Again, do they still own the vehicle? A lot of them are going to say, I haven't owned that vehicle in years, which is fine. You say, great, that's why we're calling. We have this script set up. They say this, you go say that. If they say this, you say that. The big thing is you want to verify what information you have and what information you don't have. What you could also do is you could ask them, would you like to verify, would you like, let's say, a $10 coupon off their next service for just being so kind and spending a minute or two with you. So number one, doesn't cost you anything. If they don't use it, doesn't cost anything. And if it does, you brought somebody in your dealership that may not have been there in a long time. And then you verify it by sending them an email or a text, and have them acknowledge that they got it. You've now verified the information that you have in your database, which makes it that much more powerful. Number two, you want to send value. The best way to send value is content marketing. So we're all on the same page. A little explanation of content marketing is a form of marketing focused on creating, publishing, and distributing content for a targeted audience online. It's often used by businesses in order to attract attention, generate leads, expand their customer base, generate and increase online sales. It also increases brand awareness or credibility and engages an online community of users. That's an explanation from Wikipedia. But it's also the opposite of interruption marketing. And the goal is to have people, which you've probably have heard this, to know, like, and trust you. If they know, like, and trust you, and you're giving them value, they'll want to do business with you. You need to make what you send to people relevant. How do you do that? You segment your lists. How do you do that? You create a survey for them to fill out so that you can find out what is important to them and what is not. What makes sense? What's their hot buttons? Where's the interest? You can get these surveys filled out during sign into service. You can have it done during delivery of a newer vehicle. And if you can't do that, or in addition to that, you can do it online with a bonus involved. A good example would be, let's just say someone came in for service, they're getting an oil change and the tire rotation. The service director says to them, how would you like to get $10 off your service today? And they say, well, sure. How do I do that? Well, if you wouldn't mind, while you're waiting for your vehicle, just take 10 minutes or 5 minutes and fill out the survey for us. And again, it goes back to the other sentence that I said was, so that our communication with you can be more relevant and meaningful. So now you're going to update and find out what's important to your customers, because it can't be a blanket type thing. Every dealership serves a different clientele, and every clientele is a little different. And the better you know that clientele, the better you'll be with them. Please go to Part B for the continuation of 10 dealer deadly sins and how to fix them all.